I have 3 tips for how to deal with failure in a graceful way. So the first one is treating failure as a learning opportunity, which is also kind of a cliche, but it's very real, I think. And so the first thing is that we want to find out as quickly as possible if something is not going to work. So Astro, Taylor, who runs X, he's my boss, he coined this idea of working on the monkey and the pedestal. So imagine you want to teach a monkey to recite Shakespeare's sonnets while standing on a pedestal. What do you work on first, training the monkey or building the pedestal? And it's very tempting to first, like when you make your list of things that you need to get done, to work on the things that you know you can do, right? Because you sort of tick them off your to-do list and you feel like you're making some progress and it feels good. And you can go back to your investors and you can say, yes, look at all the amazing things we've done. But the point about the monkey is, like, what if you then, in your second year, hit the real problem, the thing that you can't solve, right? You find out that the monkey can't be trained. So you've got this beautiful pedestal, which is completely useless. So when I start a project, I ask the team to make a list of all the things that would actually be the biggest risks to the project, and then I ask them to work on those first, which is very counterintuitive. It's hard to do, but I recommend it. So that's the first thing, work on the hardest things first. The second thing is most people set success criteria for their projects or their prototypes or their idea realization, and we also set kill criteria. So when do we know that this prototype is going to fail? Like, when do we know that this project's not going to go forward? And what happens if you set that up front, then the team can actually make the decision themselves. So we had this beautiful project called Foghorn, which was about making renewable fuel from seawater by extracting CO2 from seawater. And one of the goals, many of the goals were technical, and one of the goals was a business goal that it had to be as cheap as conventional fuel. So when the oil price tanked, the team came to me and said, we've hit our kill criteria because this can no longer be a viable product. And for that, I gave them a spot bonus. They did a long post-mortem and presented to all of X, and they also, 2 of the people got promoted. So that's another tip that I would have for leaders and companies, is like, you need to decouple project failure from like personal progress. Like, someone can make great personal progress, and even if the project fails, because otherwise nobody wants to work on that really risky thing that may not go well. And then the final thing is that we've learned that there's always an emotional cost, and we now have a celebration where we grieve.